It's time to ham up.
Now I gotta really try hard.
Shut it down!
Somehow it's the best.
The YumChunks podcast.
YumChunks!
Hey everybody, welcome to After the Credits, a YumChunks podcast. I am Sean, and with me as always, well, mostly as always, is Vince.
Hello.
And Chris.
Hi.
and Ryan.
Oh boy.
Hey,
we're all here. It's been a while, but we're back. What happened to us? More likely, what happened to the
That's a
movies?
good question.
No movies were out.
let's pretend that movies stopped getting made, so we had nothing to talk
good
about.
movies stopped getting made. That's a fact, right?
Ouch. Ouch.
Well, good movies that we all saw. How about instead of good movies, I think just like big movies stopped getting made.
Yeah.
Because it was August and September.
But luckily, there will be no blockbusters going into the end of the year. Really, there's only a handful, so we'll have to start just doing these for lesser known films.
Well, speaking of which, the film tonight that we're talking about is, oh man, everyone demanded it, and this is exactly what the type of film you come to us to
And everybody demanded it being us. We demanded Sean be here for us to talk about this.
Crazy Rich Asians. Finally, you've been waiting for weeks.
You're welcome, audience.
And after all the hinting at what other things we'll be talking about, sorry to bother you, Black Klansman, potentially other amazing films, we settled on Crazy Rich Asians.
I don't want to go too far into this, but that insults me, Sean. I really like this movie.
I did not make any comment on the movie. I have not made any judgment.
By
Sean,
saying we could have done any of these other fantastic films.
Sean, can you put down your egg for a moment?
Because I can hear that egg just being in your mouth. You chewing that egg.
I feel like the audience wants a tactile, experience. To listen as if, they're here.
Well, then everybody.
This is kind of a shocker. I was on Rotten Tomatoes, and A Simple Favor, that Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively one, is actually getting pretty damn good reviews.
Yeah, I saw that. I was impressed to see it was getting such good reviews. Also interesting is that Ibiza is getting quite a good review on Rotten Tomatoes. Just want to throw that in.
Which one?
Do they have Rotten Tomatoes reviews?
Ibiza. I guess they do Netflix movie reviews. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Chris, you don't know about Ibiza?
I know it's a thing.
I mean, I heard it's pretty good.
Also, this new Nicolas Cage movie, Mandy, is at 96% right now.
I saw that too. What the heck
you guys
is that
seen the trailer
movie?
for that? Oh, you gotta watch the trailer for that. I remember watching the trailer a couple months ago, and it's crazy. It looks crazy. It looks like it could be amazing, and apparently it is if it's that good at reviews.
Okay.
All right.
What's it called? Mandy?
Yeah, Mandy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we get into Crazy Rich Asians, you guys could skip ahead if you want to get into that, because I know you can't wait to hear us talk about that. But it's been a while, so we've all probably been up to lots of different things in the last couple of weeks. Even if we haven't been watching big blockbuster films and talking about them with our dear friends, we've been doing other things. What have you guys been doing other than watching Crazy Rich Asians?
Well,
that's all I've been doing, actually, just on repeat, constantly watching the movie. Yeah. Well, actually, so some of the things that I've been doing. One, I took a road trip to Denver. That was fun. And in news and media, I saw the movie 8th Grade. I also saw the movie Black Klansman. Both were fantastic.
I saw both of those films as well, and they were fantastic. You're right.
And yeah, I would say 8th Grade is, I don't know, it's probably my favorite movie of the year. Because I'm secretly an eighth grade white girl in my soul. And what else? I saw the musical Newsies at Moonlight.
Ooh.
That was fun.
Okay.
Was 12-year-old Christian Bale there?
Yeah,
Nice.
he was. It was fantastic. Did I already mention that on this podcast? I feel like I have.
What?
I did. So never mind. That doesn't count.
Wait. I don't understand.
The concept of musical theater?
Yeah, I don't
get it either.
Somebody explain it to me.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Anyway, but I also watched a show called Magic for Humans on Netflix.
I love that show.
Sean, I know you've seen it.
I have watched that show as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
watched
wow,
it.
maybe we should do a podcast on
Vince,
that
you
one because
watched
that
it?
was very. I feel like there's a
I
lot to
watched
talk
that in
about.
one day.
Man, we should talk more often.
I pretty much watch every new release that's on Netflix.
You guys would think you were related.
You'd think that. Actually, you wouldn't think that.
Well, ever since we started the podcast, we refused to talk to each other in the off chance that we might ruin good
Unless
content.
we're being recorded.
Would
we
be
will
better
not
saved
talk.
for the podcast. Yep.
Okay, wait. First, am I the only one
yeah.
who thinks that the guy, the magician, looks a lot like a young Glenn Howerton?
He does a little bit, yeah.
I actually
guy from
thought
Sunny?
he was. I actually thought he was for a second.
He looks like a shorter kind of Glenn Howerton. Is that what you just said, or do you say younger?
I said younger, but I guess
Yeah.
shorter maybe too.
That show it's entertaining. I am skeptical about the actual some of the things he does on there. I don't think it's real magic, guys. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Oh, blasphemy! That's heresy.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
I just
Not-
mean that, like, well, because it's a TV show, and he's doing sleight of hand tricks, all these crazy magic tricks, and so it's always like, well, how much of it is, him actually performing an illusion, and how much of it is editing and camera work or whatever. I think for the most part it's pretty authentic, but there's a few things, and in terms of especially how the audience kind of reacts, I get the sense that some of the audience is sometimes a little, actory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just get the sense from some of them. Overall, it's still really entertaining, though, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. I think those. Yeah, I kind of agree with Sean, but those are good things that we could talk about, if we do a podcast on it.
That sounds good.
I also watched Disenchantment. Zoom, I know.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
I've seen the pilot.
I'm alive.
All right.
I saw
we
the-
require Vince to tell us if he's alive every 10 minutes just to make sure.
We have to know.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I sneezed. I don't know if you actually heard that because I took my
Oh,
mic
no.
away.
Yes, we.
Oh,
heard it.
great. Okay. I watched the first episode of that. It was okay.
I watched it to completion.
Yeah, I mean, it's only like 8 episodes,
Uh-huh.
so it was pretty non-committal, but it had a certain charm. It wasn't as good as, to me anyways, obviously, as The Simpsons or quite as Futurama's level,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
there's some kind of whimsical fun there.
Yeah.
With it-
To be had by all.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah, I enjoyed the pilot, but I haven't continued watching, so I don't know. I probably will. at
I
some
started watching Arrested Development for the first time. I've never actually watched that show.
Ooh, from the very beginning.
Yeah. I'm
Ooh,
like
you have a really fun time ahead of you, and then not so much a fun time, and then kind of fun, and then
what does that mean?
just the tracking the
Well,
quality.
he's
of the
probably
show.
going to watch the re-edited season 4.
That's
so
true. That is
that's-
better than the original. I feel.
I
Yeah.
disagree.
Yeah, more watchable. Well, it's more
It's
watchable.
more watchable for sure.
Okay.
You're more watchable.
Well, I've actually
Well,
watched
good.
quite
You
a
should
few
watch
episodes.
Me then.
I'm like maybe like 15 or 20 episodes into season 1. I don't know how long that season is, but it keeps going.
It's back in the olden days when actual TV seasons were like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the CW
As of,
still does that.
That's not TV
Yeah, but
though.
nobody watches the CW.
Or
well,
do
cool.
they?
I'm glad you're watching that because that's man.
That's a good
to
one.
be able to. I want to be in your shoes to be able to watch something for the first time, and that would be one of the things to be fun to watch for the first
Yeah.
time again.
It's funny how Jason Bateman is just the exact same person and he never
Yeah.
changes. Like the second that the show started, I was like, "Oh, this is just the Jason Bateman I've always known." Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Though that persona that you know him now from a lot of the film work he does it was primarily kind of from that show. That's kind
Yeah.
of where that came from.
Right.
so.
Yeah.
I also just love David Cross. He's like the funniest thing that's ever happened.
Darren Cross hilarious. I mean, they're all so funny, but Will
They are.
Arnett,
Yeah, they're all
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, I've
Almost
started
kinda,
watching Sherlock. I'd never watched Sherlock before. I'm in season 3 right now, I think.
It's another one where I think that one though, like you start watching it, at least for me, and it's like, oh, this is actually really fun. It's really cool. And then after
Yeah.
a couple seasons, you're like, wait a second, this isn't cool at all.
Yeah, that was my opinion of it too.
Like,
Wait, what do you mean?
well, I think partially because the production values and the style of it early on, it's like fairly original, and it's kind of fun to watch, and the characters are, for lack of a better term, edgy, and it's a different perspective of Sherlock and kind of everything. So it's fun in that. And even early on, the mysteries actually kind of were interesting, and they kind of were solved like classic mysteries.
Yeah.
But pretty early on even, but especially in seasons 2, 3, and after, they just get so bogged down and full of themselves with some, like, this stupid overarching story that makes no sense, that the individual episodes suffer, and I mean, I won't go into too much detail, but basically it just becomes like, what is happening in the show? And then it doesn't even become, they're not even mystery shows anymore. They're not like, there's no way like the puzzles that he solves have any semblance of what's actually happening in the episode. There's no way like as an audience you were able to follow along. It's just like, oh, magic, I knew about this thing. Audience, you had no chance to ever know about that. So here,
I prefer my mystery shows to kind of lead me on. Like, it's okay that the lead detective, Sherlock or whatever, is way smarter than me. I'm okay with that. But you can't just close your eyes, open them, and then have the mystery solved. Like, you have to lead the audience there.
Well,
and he just kind of uses magic powers to solve it.
So, like, are you saying, like, let's take, for example, that time when he got shot, and then, like, just in the moment of him getting shot, he's able to kind of like solve exactly how he's going to stay alive.
That's okay. It's less, to me, it's less about those individual specifics. It's more about like the mystery as a whole. It's like, I think there's one episode where like there's a murder out by a river or something. And
I remember that one.
Like finds out there's a boomerang that did it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, how he's picked up on 0 clues. Did he figure that out?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, things like that. And the other thing, too, is that they get so obsessed with this Moriarty rivalry and, like, all this, like, and none of it makes any sense. Like, Moriarty's been dead, but he keeps coming back, then he's not, and it's all meaningless. None of it ever has any relevance to what's actually happening. It's just constantly teasing this, like, ooh, something's going to happen. You bet you can't wait to see what happens. And then nothing happens. And then they tease more of what's going to happen when ultimately I'd like to just like almost episodic mysteries. Like that's kind of what the premise of the show, like at least for me, was like most intriguing part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know.
Just
like
saying, for Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch, it's good times.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, I did like it from the beginning. At the beginning, I just felt like it wore pretty thin after a while. So I can't say, obviously I watched it, so I liked it to some extent. Anyways, but that's all old news. That show's been out for years. Nigh on 7 years or something.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's, what else? I saw Searching. That was a fun movie, actually. Speaking of mysteries, crime mysteries that you could kind of follow along with as an audience, that one's actually pretty good. The gimmick kind of got a lot of the attention. It's like it's film where it's like all shot from the PC desktop perspective, or mobile devices or whatever. They did that horror movie a couple years ago with the same kind of gimmick. But in this one, it actually works because the story and characters are, good in and of themselves. Okay. So that layer of gimmick on top of it, it's not like the whole film rests on that.
Yeah.
The story and the characters are still strong enough that it could be told however way. It just adds an extra layer that way, and it's fun and kind of a good little whodunit a little bit.
Neato.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I got
Sean. It reminds me of the game, like Her Story.
Oh
right?
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of piece it together yourself, and it's up to you, like kind of how much attention and deduction and like involvement you want to be in on it. So.
Oh, one last thing. Yeah. Did you guys watch? I'm sure you did the Plinkett review.
I did not, actually.
Oh, well, let's all watch it. So he reviewed The Last Jedi.
I know he did, and I purposely didn't watch it because I don't know if I want to watch it.
Yeah, same here.
No, you should. It's actually it's good. It's better than his review of Force Awakens, I would say.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the Force Awakens review, and I remember I watched Red Letter Media's Half in the Bag, and they did not like Last Jedi on the Half of the Bag, which I love Last Jedi, and it's fine if you don't like it, that's fine. But I remember the Force Awakens review, they kind of trashed on Force Awakens for reasons that I didn't feel were very valid. But their Half in the Bag review, they liked Force Awakens. So it was like this weird thing. I'm like, I don't know, it was a little bit of just confusion. I kind of tried to avoid the most recent one. especially just with all the toxicity around Last Jedi. And I didn't know how much involved they were going to be with that aspect of it. So
Yeah, apparently, it ruined Star Wars because they've already canceled all the Boba Fett film and the Obi-Wan film.
No, that wasn't.
That was the Han Solo film.
That was not the Last Jedi. Yeah. Last Jedi had nothing to do with that.
And they actually liked the Solo movie.
No one likes the Solo movie.
Yeah, they actually did like the Solo movie, or more than the Last Jedi, at least in their half.
Well, they're idiots.
Anyways, let's do a podcast about another internet review show.
No, I did watch most of that review, Vince, and it was interesting. I thought at one point, I mean, honestly, it felt like he was kind of taking a middle ground stance on it, where he's like, yeah, there was good and there was bad, is what that review came off of to me. Like the thing that stood out, I think, the most to me is like there was that bit where he was kind of discussing the goofiness of what's his face pilot guy, Poe
Dameron.
Yeah, his whole thing where he's just given the runaround for seemingly no reason, and it feels like they're making kind of a snarky joke in that, right? Because then they're like, what would you have liked him to sit there and converse with like all those around him, like his superiors and his coworkers and all that stuff, and like in Star Trek, like Picard would do. And then he cuts to like a scene of Picard asking all the people of the Enterprise, for their advice. But then that those cuts just keep coming, and it happens for just so long that at that point it also sounded like they put like a goofy sound underneath it. It made me think like they were making commentary on, it's not perfect, but this isn't Star Trek. So, I mean, would you have rather it have been a 30-minute conversation piece like it is in like the Star Trek movies, or would you prefer it be an action movie like it's supposed to be? So
we should have a whole episode just on The Last Jedi / fan reaction and Plinkett review, all that stuff. I'd be down.
Sure. I mean, I prefer we just talk about but the movie and the stuff surrounding the movie. I don't know if I want to review another review video.
They're dumb. They are dumb, Sean. Red Letter Media.
Well, just the points that it brings up and how it invokes discussion. And then we could talk about those points.
I guess. Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. But let's talk about Crazy Rich Asians, because that's why we're here.
I guess.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians. I mean, I guess spoiler warning, but I don't think this is a film that's even a big deal about spoilers. I think you probably have an idea of how this film is going to go if you know what the film is.
There's so many secrets.
If you've seen a film before.
Yes. But just in case, spoiler warning. So, apparently we watched this film and we're going to talk about it now. That's happening.
Apparently. But John, before we get into it too much,
we did watch Black Klansman in 8th grade, Ryan. We could just try to take over this podcast and talk about those.
Could just take over this podcast and talk about.
How about
films
I just take over this
discussion.
podcast and spoil Spider-Man game for everyone?
Is it good? Is the Spider-Man game good?
It's all right. It's good.
Spoilers.
Wow, gosh.
Actually, I am excited to play it. I haven't started yet. I'm gonna get it tomorrow, so I'll hopefully play it soon. Then we can both spoil it.
Wait, how does Spider-Man have a game when he's Ashes currently?
It's funny because you can wear that dead Ash Spider-Man's costume and swing around New York in this game. Totally disrespecting Tom Holland. It's like teabagging Tom Holland.
That's too soon.
He's personally offended every time you do it. Okay, Crazy Rich Asians. I guess let's get into it. What do people think? All right, Chris and Vince. How about you? I feel like you might have similar opinions, and I know.
Okay,
you
wait a minute.
This review.
So wait, are you
I'm
just trying to
you
say
guys,
that?
Just straight up.
Are you saying that because I am married to a woman who is of Asian descent, and Chris is?
Wait, what?
Paige
is Asian?
Is that where we're going with this?
No, I
thought she was like Pacific Islander.
I think it counts as Asian. She's
Paige,
oceanic.
Does Pacific Islander not count as Asian?
Yeah, it counts.
Not in this country.
I don't know.
You're
I
either
guess it depends on who you
American or
ask.
you're not.
So Paige is Chinese and Spanish primarily, but Chinese.
That's not why I was saying that. I was saying it because you guys had seen the movie and were pushing for us to go watch that movie and review it. Ryan and I had not seen it until
to be
you guys
fair,
said to
I
go
did
watch
not
it.
push us to review it. I said that I could do it, but I did push you to watch it because I do like the movie.
Oh, well, there we go. So, yeah, tell the audience what you liked. Why'd you guys like it?
I mean, I
Alright.
guess a broad stroke here is so you remember when what's that horror movie that came out this year with Jim from The Office? Drawing a blank
Grade.
on it. What? No, not 8th grade.
Silent treatment.
A Quiet
movie
Place.
with
A Quiet
monsters.
Place.
Actually, it's funny that you say 8th grade because I do equate 8th grade to being a horror film. So
Also,
we'll
John
talk about that later.
Krasinski.
So A Quiet Place. You know how everybody was talking about A Quiet Place, and it's just like, oh, this movie's amazing, and so on and so forth. But when you go and watch it, you're like, yeah, it's got a cool little thing with the quietness. But other than that, it doesn't do it. No, honestly, it does not do anything like that blows your mind. Really, at least I don't think it did. But what I did,
I agree.
what I
don't
did think it
disagree with
did
that.
is it did what horror movies do, but it did it really well. It was kind of like a masterpiece of that art, right? It was just like, we're going to take what's been done and we're just going to do it right. We're going to, do it really good. That's kind of what I feel Crazy Rich Asians is they took like that kind of tired out rom-com type thing and they made it their own thing, and they just kind of like they honed it. They honed in on it, and they were like, we're not going to try to shock the world with something new. What we're going to do is we're going to take the formula that and we're just going to make it really shine. And that's how I feel about Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, I get that for sure. Vince, what same thing? Why did you like it? Why did you like it?
Well, I liked it for kind of just cinematography wise. Thought it was a beautiful looking movie. I think that it was good to see the representation, I would say, in the movie. I mean, I know that it meant a lot to Paige when going in to see it. And I mean, obviously, I won't know exactly what it's like to not have my race represented well in movies. But I know having like a full Asian cast for like, a worldwide released movie, or I guess an American. This is like made by an American company, right? I don't actually.
I think so. I don't remember what studio. Was it Universal?
I think it was a mix. It was a mix of American and Chinese companies.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, like seeing like, an all Asian cast, and like, perfecting or making a really great movie on a genre that we have seen played out so many times, just primarily with a white cast. I mean, like it kind of. I'm hoping it's kind of just leading down a road of more of that kind of representation
Warner
in
Brothers. It was Warner
different
Brothers.
genres. Okay.
They were the main one, but they had Chinese backing for sure.
I mean, it's not like an amazing movie, but I think that it's a really good movie, and it's a solid movie. Like I can't really think of, other than maybe some of the jokes, I feel like were really like forced, or like they kind of really tried to pound them, and I was like, didn't really work for me. Some of the characters, I didn't really quite understand their motives, and I didn't feel like they're really fleshed out at all. But I don't know, the main story I felt was compelling enough. So yeah, and the shots of Singapore look cool, and now I want to go there.
Cool. Well, there you go, folks. Crazy Rich Asians. Pretty good. Go watch it.
No, I mean that's pretty. Is there any? What'd you guys think about it, Sean? What'd you think about it? Oh no,
It's fine.
talk about a case of the Mondays.
No, I mean, I can't just, all the stuff you guys said is correct. It's a film that I could appreciate, understand it's good, and I understand its value. I just didn't really like it. It was well made for sure. I don't know. There's lots of reasons why, which we could get into, but I think just overall, I didn't connect with it really.
Look at Sean, white American, not connecting.
We didn't see that one coming.
I mean, I hope that's not the reason, but maybe, sure, it might be. I don't believe that's why I didn't really love it, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm, perfect or something. So maybe that's why. Maybe there's some subconscious level where they're not white, so I hate them. But
you gonna
if
edit
that's
that out
not
of
the
the
reason, maybe. But if that's not the reason, then the other reasons are mainly just because I felt like a lot of the conflict was not very, to me, really clear and prevalent, and really even there for like the first half of the film. I felt like there wasn't a lot like going on, and the stakes weren't really raised or clear until a little bit later, which isn't ultimately that bad. But then also I felt like a lot of the conflict that they did rise to me felt a little. It was never explored to me in the level that I kind of was warranted the scope of everything that happened. Like it just felt very like this is what the problem is. We're not going to show it. We're just going to tell you this is the problem, and so there you go. Deal with it. And I get it's a romance. It's not supposed to be like this subtle drama about deep character introspection or something. But I was just hoping for a little bit more on those levels. To me, I guess part of the reason I was kind of joking about us even talking about it, just to me, it's like a film that I would not go see on my own. It's like if we talked about Mamma Mia or something. Like, to me, it's on the same level. Like, again, I'm not saying those films are bad or there's, or anything like that. And I'm always willing to go see a film I haven't seen before. But I feel like it was kind of what I was expecting, and it was sure fun and it was well made, but I don't know if I really got anything out of it, I guess.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay.
I don't know. That's my thoughts. Again, I'm not trying to be condescending, or it's just kind of, I don't know. Ryan, how much did you love Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Oh boy. Well, actually, you know what? I want to clear something up. Maybe for the audience that's listening that hasn't seen the movie before and, like me, was maybe confused about what this film was. So the film is Crazy Rich Asians, and I didn't know if so. The Asians that they're referring about in this film, are they crazy Asians that happen to be rich, or are they rich Asians that are so rich that they're crazy rich?
I think it's kind of supposed to be both. I think that's kind of.
I caught that like, oh, they're trying to be like a little pun there, or like a little play on words or what have you. But throughout the film, a character does make a mention. It's the friend character, and she says that they're crazy rich, that they're so rich that they're crazy. So I just want to clear that up for the audience. Hopefully that helps some people out there.
I'm glad that you found one line in that movie to latch that whole rant into.
Yeah. And second of all, on this film, that this movie is in fact not a sequel to Crazy Stupid Love, as I thought it may have been. But however, it does take place in the same cinematic universe. So hopefully that will clear things up for future moviegoers.
Yeah, the post-credit scene I think kind of hinted at that, right?
Yeah. I hope we'll talk about that later. But Sean caught on to something there. But in terms of my appreciation for the film, yeah, I think I'm probably closer aligned with Sean. There was literally zero surprises in this film for me. I think if I had spent 20 minutes or 10 minutes with a piece of paper and a pen, I could have written this movie, or at least all the beats, and kind of foreseen everything that would have happened, which is a little disappointing. I kind of was always like a little bit, maybe something to defy expectations. And also I didn't buy the conflict. I think most of any of the conflict in the film was really driven by Michelle Yeoh's character. I think, well, one, she was just kind of just carried the film, I thought. But it was her just kind of saying, this is what the conflict is, and I'm conveying that through my superior acting. But the rest of the film didn't really deliver that, I didn't think.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but it was kind of like, okay, well, yep, that was a movie.
The conflict, I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the things I mentioned to Kay after we walked out of that movie was I like that it avoided a lot of stupid tropes that these movies usually bring with them. And so, like, there's that scene at the end, right, where the grandmother is, and the mom are at the party, and they're like, we forbid you to see her, right? And normally you would imagine in this situation, the guy, to create more drama or whatever, hesitates or whatever, does something stupid. And I thought, like, in this case, he immediately is like, all right, screw you, family, I'm out, right? And it's like, I like that he always made the right decision. And so the conflict wasn't ever really between Rachel and Nick at all. And I like that they kind of axe that kind of conflict.
Yeah, actually, that was interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I actually had written that down, that there was no conflict between Rachel and Nick, whereas I thought that's... So maybe that was one surprise. That I thought that's where the film was going to take it. But if there wasn't a conflict, I am unclear as to why Nick did not chase after her.
Yeah, I guess that I kind of feel
I didn't get that
He
either.
did chase after her.
If there was no conflict between
No, he
them,
waited 3 days to even contact her.
No, they...
And then he didn't even come calling at her at her house. He made her a couple phone calls and text messages, but he knew where she was. Why didn't he come call on her?
I mean, I imagine that he was, trying to contact her through various means, and he'd probably gone to the house and just been turned away and stuff like that in the past.
Well, show the audience
But
that.
I think I agree, kind of show the audience that, but I think there was actually a throwaway line that kind of...
They did have they hinted at the texting stuff. To me, though, that it wasn't so much about even Nick coming after her or not. To me, that the conflict was, I mean, you're right in terms of, like, it was a little bit unique, but ultimately I felt like it undermined that entire act turn, right? Because she's, like, distraught, heartbroken, all this stuff, but why?
Yeah.
Is Nick gonna betray her? Nick
there
loves her just as much as always. Like, why?
Because to protect Nick, because I mean that's her whole thing, right? Is like she thinks about it.
No, but she
does
make
it at
that
the end when
till
she
later.
makes that realization.
Yes.
But at that time, she like if Nick's like, I don't care what my family said. She'd be like, oh, well, that's like it felt like her reaction was like out at like if Nick still loved her and never balked at her, she would not react. Why does she react like that? Why would she react like that?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense why she holed herself up in the cave, because it's like, well, wait, Nick and her are still cool, but then the fact that Nick never came to call on her is like, oh wait, maybe that's why she's depressed, because Nick's like ignoring her.
No,
I don't know. That whole sequence
I assumed,
was really,
like, her whole thing
did not
was
work.
just that she had been under so much pressure from the mom and everything that it just destroyed her, I guess. I don't know. That's the way I don't think it was just like it was too much pressure. I mean, we've all, I hope, have been there. I guess I don't hope, but I think we've all been there, where
I hope everyone has been catatonic with grief.
Well, no. What I mean though is just where it's just been, there's been so much, and you're just like, I just want to be removed from everything right now, right? Like,
I mean, I guess, but if in those cases you turn to the one person who you can trust and that loves you, and up until that point has given you no reason to feel like that trust isn't there.
Listen,
and even in that moment,
if
did not give her reason
what I'm
to
saying
betray
is
that
right, and he did like show up only to be turned away by her, through her friend because she was staying at her friend's. The true villain here would then be her friend who listened to her. So think about that.
Which I think we can agree is the true villain.
Sure.
Though I do think Aquafina, which is a stupid name.
Also, the way she spells it, like, come on.
Yeah, come on. Just come on. Yeah. She was also in that Ocean's whatever movie.
Wait, was that who the friend was? That's Aquafina?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, she was in that new Ocean's movie too. I actually thought she was pretty funny.
She was okay. She was actually one of the more, at least better characters I felt in the film in general.
Yeah.
So I agree in terms of that major beat, that kind of second act turning point for sure. To me, it didn't really hit as hard as I think the film was trying to, or at least for me anyway. But a couple other things too is I think to a certain level, it's like Crazy Rich Asians, and it's like showing how opulent and crazy these lifestyles are. But like, it's like the I don't know, the 98% or the 99% seeing how the 100% lives. Like, she was already pretty well off. She was living in New York as a professor. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like she was like somehow some poor, distraught. Like, it wasn't that huge clash of cultures. I mean, I guess compared to anything, that Singapore lifestyle, I'm sure, is crazy. But you know what I mean? It's not like she's coming from dirt trash. She's a well-off, well-to-do, could live.
Yeah, she's a professor at NYU.
Pretty
right?
wealthy.
I mean, I don't know what that salary is, but I'm sure it's pretty good.
So to me, it kept like trying to portray this like huge dissonance and this huge chasm between. It's like, no, she's kind of rich already. Like, they're all just rich people. Even she's a rich person. Professors at a New York university, yes, I would have.
I don't know.
I'm looking it up for you, Chris.
I mean, maybe she's not rich in the same, obviously not the same level as everyone else in the cast.
Plus, you know how
that's
expensive
the point, but-
expensive it is to live in New York. Come on.
That's my point. But she can afford it comfortably. She's living
Yeah.
a comfortable.
I mean, comfortably
life
is
in
it?
downtown
Look, I think it has to
Manhattan.
do.
She's
like,
all
look,
about like
Chris.
it's
nickel and
supposed to be-
diming when we meet her.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Well, okay.
No,
Yes,
she
she
isn't.
I think it.
Chris, she gets 200K. 200K. You think that's comfortable?
No.
Okay.
But it's not about. It's not
It's
about
not.
that.
It's nothing compared to my cool $500,000 I make a year. So no, it's not
Oh.
comfortable. I can't go back to that. I couldn't go back to that.
Well, anyway, what I was gonna say, and Chris, if that is true, could I borrow some money? But moving on, I think it has everything to do with like this. It's like a traditional kind of family, crazy rich traditional family, and like their way of thinking is like you gotta kind of like. This mom is thinking this weird person from New York is gonna keep her son away from her instead of joining the family business, and they're all about keeping the family together. So she wants him to like marry into another rich family. It's about like, you know, joining houses, almost like Game of Thrones status instead of like, you know.
Yeah, I get
Her.
that. That's what ultimately it's about. I'm just saying that the whole premise of her like not fitting in because she's not rich enough. To me, it didn't. That did not work. That element of it. I'm not saying that's the only element.
I don't
of the
think.
film.
I don't think it was
But I'm just saying-
necessarily.
Well,
necessarily like a money thing too. Not saying that wasn't a part of it, but I think the bigger thing
I mean, it's
was
called Crazy Rich Asians.
No.
Being rich was a huge part of the film. I agree.
Shut
the
your-
central
shut
conflict
your filthy
was
mouth.
not that specific about the money, but it is a huge part of the film.
I mean, it's just the culture, right? Is she's not a Chinese in that sense.
And that's my other point. That's my other reason why I felt like like I said, the conflict wasn't strong, and they just kind of told us what the conflict was, but they never even showed it. Like we get the big kind of when the mom's like, "You'll never belong. It's not because you're rich. It's because you're an outsider."
Right.
But what have we ever seen her not fit in?
Right, because anytime she's with the family, like the matrons of the family, that dumpling scene, which I thought
She
was one of
fits
the
in
better
perfectly.
scenes.
Like what about her?
Exactly,
does
she
not fit
fits in
with the family?
perfectly. Everyone loves her, and then later we're told by the ultimate matriarch that no, you're not allowed. But why? You love Rachel. You have this
Because she would be
good
a
bond
blight
with her.
on the name of the family.
But how?
How?
but
Because
again,
that's how she
they just
says.
keep
She
telling us
she
this.
lied about her father.
She didn't.
I mean,
actually.
she
Where do you
didn't.
find
No.
out?
I
she
mean,
did.
But I guess my
that's part
point
of
is
the
this,
thing
okay.
she didn't know. But I mean, that's why the grandmother turned against
But
her.
how would that even be a blight? How would that be a blight on the family?
I mean, do you understand the Chinese culture and the importance of a name?
No,
over
but I
there?
know in the world of the film, we have family members who are literally directors who go around sleeping with anyone. How is that not a blight on the family?
But they maintain status.
What,
Yeah.
but it's not. You just said it's not about status. You said
No,
it's about
that is
culture.
literally. It's all about the protection of the name and the status.
I don't understand.
I think it's. I mean, the biggest thing is that they
Of
need
course
Nick
you don't.
to
You're
run
not
the
crazy
business,
rich Asian, Sean.
and that him marrying somebody who's a professor is gonna keep him away from the business and from the family, and joining them and being, you know, where he's supposed to be. And so,
Okay, I mean, I will buy that, but the film never explicitly states that. If the mother or the grandmother says you cannot marry him or we will not allow it because you will then not run the family, that would be more clear. But they never say that. They just say vaguely, well, you culturally won't fit, even
I'll
though
give you that.
have shown that you culturally do fit throughout
So,
the entire film.
there's unspoken things in my years of being with an Asian woman
Not a
and
crazy
living
rich one,
around,
though.
not a crazy rich one, but that there's unsaid things, unsaid like customs and different kind of like ideas that are kind of passed around in those cultures that maybe because the director was Asian and the whole cast was Asian, that it was kind of just something that they all kind of like implemented without even thinking they needed to explain it because it was already a part of their lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get. I mean, I could appreciate that, and I suppose it's a certain, privileged point of view from my point of view, because I'm sure all Western white culture probably implements things that we don't outwardly, explicitly state in, most white films or most whatever traditionally Hollywood Western white films.
Yeah.
So
Like
I
sarcasm.
don't know. You're right. I don't.
Cultures
but I'm
don't
saying
get
in terms of
sarcasm.
what I observed in the film, those conflicts were to me they were spoken, not shown. So to me, they fell flat. And, and if it is a cultural thing that I just don't have that exposure, and the filmmakers do, and the audience that they're playing it for do, then that's something that I know I just can't appreciate, and that's fine. But as someone who did watch the film, that's what I'm saying is to me those things didn't I just didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Sean, for opening up about that. I think we've all grown.
You're welcome.
So I was just while Sean was ranting,
was that a rant?
Well, Sean was going on that crazy rant.
I was looking through. Could you tell? Here's a question for you. Could you tell that this movie was directed by the main driving force of the Step Up movies?
No, I couldn't because I haven't seen any of those.
I did get a sense that this was I did get a vibe that it was almost kind of a musical. Like it kind of had a very similar visual style. I mean, I do agree that like, if not the cinematography, then I felt like a lot of the coloring and like the color palette and stuff. I did like that part of it. It was visually a fun film to watch, I suppose.
So here's a surreal little fact I found. That before the director, what's this guy's name? John Chu, was signed on to do this. This book was out, right? And in the book, the main character, Rachel Chu, it's mentioned at some point in the book that she is distantly related to John Chu as a joke or whatever.
Oh.
So it's just kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh, what a story, Mark.
He's in the film. The director put himself in the
No, he's not in the film.
And he's not actually.
It was in the book, yeah.
He's in the world of the film.
Yeah, he exists in there as himself.
He's in the cinematic universe.
Well, it is actually a cinematic universe because I think they're going to make a trilogy.
There is a second movie, Crazy Rich Girlfriend, coming out. So who knows where that one's going to go.
No, I'm okay. No, I do see a section on Wikipedia that says sequel. Oh, boy.
Crazy Rich Girlfriend.
Well,
oh, boy.
No, it says...
It
was a trilogy of books, right?
It says the book sequel is called China Rich Girlfriend.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, China Rich Girlfriend.
All right.
Takes place 2 years after the events of Crazy Rich Asians.
Man, and half the world has been destroyed because of Thanos at this point.
Spider-Man's just a little pile of ash on the corner.
His
pile of ash
a
just
similar
seems to
universe,
randomly appear
right?
on street corners everywhere.
For example, after the end credits of this movie, Nick Fury shows up and makes eyes at Astrid.
I do remember that. It was
I'd like
deeply
to talk
unsettling.
to you. I'd like to talk to you about the Crazy Initiative.
Yeah. I like how they do that, and we're supposed to know who that character is. Like, what? He shows up. Like, wait, movie, you haven't introduced this character to us yet.
They did, but it was the dumbest thing ever.
I was thinking. Sorry, I was having tangential thoughts. Did anyone see the first season of the TV show The Crown on Netflix?
Of the first season of the Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah,
I didn't. Netflix. Paige, did you watch The Crown? That show, The Crown? Uh-huh.
She did?
Paige thought about watching it. Does that count?
Okay. Well, she'll know what I'm talking about then. Anyways, my point is that this film reminded me a lot of The Crown.
I see where you're getting at there. Yeah, I agree.
Have you seen Have you seen it?
No, I just didn't want you to feel left out. I wanted to be in your corner.
Well, this is what I mean. Okay, so the first season of The Crown, and I guess the second season, it's all about Queen Elizabeth coming in to become queen and stuff. And it's all, the whole basic conflict of the show is about her personal and like emotional and family and connections, reconciling that with the responsibilities and the opulent, just like being the queen and it being more than just a person, and how those repercussions are felt throughout her family. So like her sister who falls in love, she can't get married and all this stuff. And it just felt very much similar thing. And it just, to me, like when I was at the second act turning point of the film, when she basically runs out of the party screaming, the worst part, not screaming, but sad, whatever. Like I almost wanted the film to end there. Like to me, that would have been so much more innovative. That's what, like, that would have been like, whoa, they went there. They did that. Like that was unexpected. obviously I knew it wasn't going to because it was a romantic, fun film, whatever. But like to me, that would have been like saying something. That would have at least said something to me. Ultimately, I don't know what did the film say. What do you think the theme of the film was?
True love can conquer all.
Was it?
Even angry mothers and older family members.
So they're against the Asian culture?
No, that's just showing that some older people in the cultures are stubborn in their ways, and that love can conquer
wrong.
that.
So they are saying the film's saying that those ways of thinking are wrong.
Yeah, I do think that. Yes.
Okay. I mean, to me, that's kind of like, right? Isn't that kind of like, I don't know, undermining the whole idea of like these traditional Asian cultures, and they're like, nah, we're still going to go with the American way. That's the right way.
Well, I mean, it's just that not necessarily that it's the right way, but that's just the way things are going, right? And
that's the way I'm saying, as a filmmaker, you are making a statement, and that's what happens.
So, my counter to that isn't he's saying it is that the old way is wrong. He's saying this is the way that it's going. It's going now to everybody. Is the American culture is spreading more across the world, and everybody's starting to override other cultures in that sense, to where it's like, yeah, don't be in those old ways. It's not him saying those old ways are bad. It's him saying this is how the world is becoming. And then he does not say whether that's good or bad. I assume it's good. Because that's what we are.
I think he definitely is saying it's a good
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, I get the sense that...
I mean, the outcome of the film definitely pushes the point that going that way is good because the heroes, the protagonists of our film, get what they want and they're happy in the end by following the path they've chosen, which is, in this case, or at least as Sean describes, the American.
Sean, also, this is in the genre of rom-com. If it ended the way you want it to, it would be a drama. It would not be a rom-com.
No, I get that. Like, I don't really think the film should have ended there. I just felt like, oh, that would have been, oh, whoa, I didn't see that coming. They're actually saying something. It would make me think. I mean, obviously, I've thought about it probably more than I should have based on the discussion.
You know, they should have just gone full Red Wedding style when that wedding happened and that Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Everybody just pulls out katanas and kills each other. Why not?
Sure.
Just full on Red Wedding. That'll move the chains.
Yeah. I also, the music was kind of fun. Just kind of trying to figure out
all over the place.
I know this song. What song? Yeah, what is this song? That was kind of fun.
Music was all over the place.
They had a Coldplay cover.
Yeah.
They had so many covers. I think they had like a Puff Daddy cover. More money, more problems.
I mean, I think also too, I kept kind of was hoping, well, not hoping, I guess it's taking my own, personal judgments and baggage and stuff. But like throughout the film, it's constantly reinforcing that rich is better, right? Never once.
Would you disagree with that, Sean?
Well, I guess.
You would disagree with that?
That rich is better?
Yeah. Would your life not be better if you were rich?
I know, it's just depressing. I guess that's my point, is that on that level it was kind of depressing, but I don't know if they were intending.
Well, then there you go. You got your depressing story that you wanted.
Sean, the world is depressing. You don't need a movie to tell you that, though. Yeah. You just step outside.
But it's a rom-com.
That's my point. Is that like usually in
my
these
current station in life,
usually in these big films with like big rich people or something, and they ultimately like, oh, you didn't have to show me you were rich. I liked you for who you are. But when she buys the expensive dress and everything, he's like, whoa, you look amazing. You look way better in that really expensive dress.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
yeah.
Well, look.
Or even like her friend Astrid or whoever, she I have to hide me spending money. But in the end, it's like, nope, I'm just going to spend all the money I want. $1.2 million on earrings. That's the correct way to live.
Yeah, I thought Astrid's character and her husband was going to be the more interesting story, because it was like, oh, they're actually making maybe some sort of commentary on the whole rich thing that you're saying, Sean. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, you don't have to be rich, or how we value things in society. But then that kind of devolves and kind of just turns into something.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. It is kind of devolves into nothingness, but I did like it overall, though, because that whole thing where he was pretending that whole time, right? And he was just like, it doesn't bother. Well, I mean, obviously he was cheating on her. That's kind of a trope, but the whole money side of it, where he was like trying to hide his pride, but then in the end, I mean, she knew all along. She mentions it the first time we ever even see the guy, but yeah, just I thought that was interesting, and and then at the end,
I thought it was
her just being like, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't. If this makes you feel bad, I shouldn't have to hide it. But you blew it, so get out.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel ultimately that story kind of devolved. I lost interest for a while. It was the more interesting, I think, story of the film, especially in the first half and the kind of middle part. Because, like I said, to me, the conflict in the main story didn't really rise until she got to the honeymoon or the bachelorette party. Like, they had hinted at small little things, but none of it really manifested anyway, and there was really no actual conflict for what was happening. It was just them on some fun, which is okay, I guess. It's just them on a fun
Singapore adventure,
beautiful adventure. That there's a certain entertaining appeal to that. I get that.
Yeah.
But just conflict-wise, there just wasn't really like, here, let's go to this cool place and let's see this cool thing and let's go to this cool place. And then, now there's actually stuff happening in the plot and it's going to further what's
reminds me of the
drive the conflict.
The Avengers 3 movie.
Sure.
Wait, when are we going to get a trailer soon for Avengers 3?
For Crazy Rich
4?
Asians 2?
For Avengers 4?
No. We don't even have a trailer for Captain Marvel. Why would we get a trailer for that?
God, nobody cares about Captain Marvel.
I think a lot of people care about Captain Marvel.
I
released footage and so do you see the pictures for it?
I mean,
I haven't seen
not a trailer.
If Captain Marvel plays a big part in defeating Thanos, I'm going to be upset.
I mean, she absolutely is going to play.
She's going to play.
She's going to be the most pivotal part of defeating Thanos.
That's the stupidest thing, that you can't just introduce a character and then have her be in one movie and then 2 months later have her be the one who defeats Thanos. That's the dumbest thing. I hate it already.
Welcome to comic books.
But But this goes against everything the Marvel Cinematic Universe seems to have stood for.
Her and Iron Man.
It stands.
Her and Iron Man and Captain America will all have equal parts to play in Thanos'
What
defeat.
is the culture of the screen?
She is going
to
going to carry it past these old horses' contracts. So
also, what is this movie? Are they all just going to gang up on Thanos on a farm? Is that what this movie is?
I wish.
On a farm?
Because that's what he does.
Farm.
No, that's honestly what Thanos is doing, right? He's just on a farm now.
I hope they walk up with a little bit of wheat in their teeth, and chewing it in their mouth, and maybe just a little drawl, just like, Thanos, you knew we were coming for you.
Guys, why are we talking? We're trying to talk about an important movie here, Crazy Rich Asians. Stop.
No, we're still talking about it. Actually, this is pivotal.
This is all part of that universe, Sean. Didn't you see the after credits scene?
My best. So this is the film. To my telling of the film, or my take on the film at its best, is that it's a modern fairy tale.
Yes.
Okay. That's how you describe the film. I would be like, okay, sure, fine, and I could get behind that. But if I start to look at it closer, that's when I'm like, I don't know.
Sean, have you ever examined?
Just kill all rich people. Rich people are awful.
I mean,
if you are spending $1.2 million on earrings, you are a bad person. Unequivocally a bad. I'm not joking. You're a bad person if you're spending $1.2 million on earrings. It's not a joke. There are literally people dying. $1.2 million.
I'm not laughing
earrings.
because it's not a joke. I'm laughing because of how upset you are and how correct you are, actually. Because you're right. It's hilarious, but I mean, what, are we going to go murder this person? Are we going to say, if you buy expensive things, all right, you knew what you're getting, you're going to jail.
I'm just saying that, I'm just saying, it's hard to get me, get emotionally behind these characters when they're doing like that. And that's supposed to be a save the cat moment or something? No, it's the opposite. You just killed the cat to me.
Oh.
Anyways.
No, I get that. But that's the thing is, rom-coms are never meant to be, scrutinized that meticulously.
I suppose
it's just a rom-com. It's a well-made one. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to dispute that. Also, I'm trying to think if there's that much funny stuff in it. So I will say the biggest laugh that when I was watching it in the audience was when she goes to her friend's house the first time and she's meeting her friend's family, and Ken Jeong, he's kind of talking about his family himself, and he's like, "Oh, I went to Cal State Fullerton," and because I live in LA, everyone in the audience just thought that was hysterical.
Those
that was the biggest laugh.
Fullertons. You know, Sean, just real fast, back to what you were saying. You said, like, under more of a microscope, a closer look, it starts to fall apart. And to me, that once again puts it in the same exact vein as A Quiet Place. Because when you take a closer look at A Quiet Place, that also starts to unravel pretty quick, right? And just like it's a rom-com, I think pretty much horror movies are the same thing. They're just bound to unravel if you look at it too close.
Well, to me, the difference is that a good horror movie, the logic of the world may kind of unravel, or how this world makes any sense and how people live in it. I agree that if you start picking apart, there's things that don't make sense, and it's not an excuse for it. But I think in terms of the story, the thematically, the characters, the central conflict, those are still things that I think hold up. And to me, those are the things that kind of start to get chipped away and break up, at least in this case, and just in general, rom-coms in general. Those are the parts that I feel don't hold up if you examine them, and those are more important. Like, ultimately, obviously you want a plot that makes sense, but if the story and the characters and the thematically are more relevant and significant and affect you as an audience, I'm more willing to overlook those plot holes. Whereas if the characters don't connect with me, I don't care if the plot is, perfectly, watertight. Mm-hmm. If I don't care about the character, who cares? You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't care about the characters in Crazy Rich Asians. I'm just saying in general, rom-coms, and for the most part, I didn't connect on those levels with this film. On some of them I did. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking over my issues with it and talking about it as I think about it with you guys on this podcast that other people may be listening to.
Just talking about, thinking about, talking about. Was that your song, Sean?
Yep.
Well, I guess that's all we really have to say about it, huh? We all loved it, Sean especially.
Yep.
It's the next.
I mean, I don't think I came across as I hate it, though, did I? Maybe I did.
No, I think what you're saying
Ryan or I felt like I don't think Ryan hated it.
I don't think Ryan said more than 2 sentences about it, really, this whole time.
Are we still recording?
I think it was a movie that
I tuned out when we started talking about Thanos, so I just started tuning back in. What's that?
I think it's a movie that we probably didn't expect to have to review, but because I asked if we could review it, we were okay with reviewing it because you guys are good friends and
Vince,
you realized I hadn't done one in a while.
If you just want to talk to us, you could just be like, "Hey, can we talk?" We're here for you. We're here for you, man.
Sometimes I want to talk.
I don't agree to that.
No, it's got to be about a movie.
What about a show?
I feel like that's an accurate description of why we're talking about this film.
All right. Good. So we'll all be there front in line for the sequel.
Yep.
Just ready to watch it.
And also, everyone's too beautiful. Come on. Throw some ugly person in there. Come on.
Are you saying Ken Jeong is beautiful?
I would.
He's a cute guy.
Yeah, but it's because you guys dated for a couple of years.
It was still
when he went to Cal State Fullerton.
Mm-hmm.
We did. Anyways, all right. Well, yeah. Is there any other thoughts? Final thoughts on Crazy Rich Asians?
Well-made rom-com. It's a genre that you can never really look under a microscope too much because everything obviously falls apart. It makes your heart flutter a couple times, which is really all a rom-com can ever do because it's never meant to be more complicated than that. The end.
We kind of talked about this. My little last note. The only time we actually talked about acting was in the 2 sentences that Ryan threw out there. But I think Constance Wu or whatever her name is did a really good job as the lead in this movie. The guy was a little wooden, but I thought Constance Wu was very likable, and I could feel like her strength and stubbornness and everything through her acting. Yeah,
she's better on this than I think she is in Fresh Off the Boat, which I like, but she's completely different character in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was okay. I thought she was good for the most part.
All right.
I know, some strong statements there. All right, cool. Well, for all of you people who are somehow still listening to this after you found out that we're talking about Crazy Rich Asians, or if you somehow knew beforehand that we were going to be talking about Crazy Rich Asians and then still stuck around for 20 minutes after we talked about TV and movies and video games before we started talking about Crazy Rich Asians.
We didn't talk about video
Basically,
games at all.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we did. We
I've
talked
been
about
playing
Spider-Man.
some fun video games.
No, we didn't talk
Yeah,
about Spider-Man. We talked about that before we started recording. Way to break the meta, Vince.
I could have sworn I asked you. Oh, man. Okay. Anyway.
We'll go back to the tape, Johnny. And I don't know. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for staying after the credits. Like us and all that stuff. We'll try to put up more episodes more frequently because more films that we are going to watch are coming out, I feel, in the next couple months that warrant some better
I wanted
discussions.
to. I haven't even seen it yet, but I want to do First Man.
Sure. First Man. It's un-American, Chris.
That movie is going to be amazing.
Sure, I'll talk about that. There's also a lot of games actually that come out. I wouldn't mind talking about some Spider-Man for one, but Tomb Raider comes out tomorrow. Well,
That's already
this
out.
Recording tomorrow. Grand Theft Auto comes, or not Grand Theft Auto. Red Dead Redemption comes out soon. I don't know. Lots of things are coming out, and Emmys are next week, and I don't know. We could talk about some other things.
All right.
Sure.
I'm going to go watch my DC shows now that service is out.
Man.
Never speak of those on this podcast.
As long as you're not watching the DC movies.
Oh yeah, Superman's no longer Henry Cavill.
No.
Henry Cavill's now The
That is
Witcher.
not confirmed.
Okay, he's the Witcher though.
That is confirmed.
He's the Wicker Man?
The Witch. Yep.
He's Nicolas Cage.
Not the bees.
All right, let's end this before
All
it
right.
gets worse.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch us next time.
Ryan, say bye to the people.
Bye.
See you another time. Love you.
Oh, geez, what have we done here?